everyone, you're welcome back to my channel. My name is Yhinka. In today's class, we're going to be making this beautiful dress. For this dress, we're going to be making use of chantilly lace. They used chantilly lace in the sample, as you can see, and I'm going to be using 5 yards of the chantilly lace. So, and also you're going to be needing your velvet ribbon or velvet bias, like some people do call it. So for these, I got about 8 yards. Obviously that is a lot, but I don't know if that is going to be enough or if we're going to add more. We're going to be using black. This velvet ribbon comes in different colors and inches. It comes in 1/2 inch, 1 inch, and 2 inches. Yes. So, and it comes in different colors. So we're going to be using bias as well. And of course, you'll be needing a matching thread and a matching zipper. I didn't really see the exact shade of this onion color for my zipper, this particular color. I'm going to be using black since we're going to be embellishing it with black ribbon after all. So if you're new to this channel, please kindly take a moment to subscribe and don't forget to hit the notification bell so that you'll be notified anytime I upload a new tutorial. And to my old subscriber, you're welcome back. Don't forget to like this video and share with your friends. So take the front seat and let's get started. So this style is divided into 2 parts. We have the upper bodice and then we have the lower part. The lower part is divided into 3 layers. The first layer of the lower part, the first layer is cut like a flare, you know, all those triangular folding cotton. Then the remaining 2 layers are cut like a gather. I'll be cutting the front part of my gown first. So I'm going to be folding my fabric into 2. My fabric is folded into 2 and this part is unfolded. So I'm going to be rolling my guideline first. Then after that, I'm going to measure down my vertical length measurements. Starting from the guideline, I'm going to measure down the length of my armhole, my nipple points, my waist length, and 1/2 inch seam allowance. Then I will be extending the lines. The thing I'm going to do now is to come to this my guideline and I'm going to input my shoulder measurement divided by 2. My shoulder is 16 inches divided by 2, that will be 8 inches. So I'll measure 8 inches starting from this folded edge, 8 inches. Then I'll rule it straight down to my chest line. Your armhole length gives you your chest line. So the next thing I'm going to do now, starting from the folded edge on my guideline, I'm going to input 3 inches so that I can slant the shoulder. So from the folded edge, measure 3 inches. Then come to the tip of the shoulder, you come down by 1 inch. And then you connect it back to the 3 inches point this way. Then after that, you're going to add 1/2 inch to this line for your shoulder seam allowance, 1/2 inch. Can you see? So the next thing now is to input our neck measurement. I'm going to be doing 3 by 3 for the neck measurement. So starting from the folded edge, we measure 3 inches. We already have 3 here. Then the neck depth is going to also be 3 inches. Then I'll connect the points together this way. This is our neck line. The next I'm going to do is to locate the mid armhole, starting from the shoulder drop, measure to the chest line, and then you locate the center. Then on that line, you come in by 1/2 inch. Then you blend it to the shoulder this way. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to input my circumference measurement. On my chest line, I'm going to input my bust circumference measurement divided by 4 plus my allowance. My bust circumference is 40 divided by 4, that will be 10 inches. I'll measure 10 inches this way. And then I'm going to add my seam allowance. Then I'll come to the waistline. I'm going to input my waist circumference measurement divided by 4 plus my seam allowance. My waist is 32 divided by 4, that will be 8 inches. I'll measure 8 inches. Then I'm going to be having that on the waistline, so I'm going to add 1 inch for that purpose, 1 inch for my dart, and then my seam allowance. Then I'll connect it to the bust measurement this way. Can you see? So the next thing now is to input our dart intake. On my nipple point line, this is my nipple point here. I will measure my nipple to nipple distance. My nipple to nipple distance divided by 2 plus ½ inch allowance. My nipple to nipple distance is 8 inches divided by 2, that will be 4. Then I'm going to add ½ inch allowance to that, that will be 4.5. I'll measure 4.5. Then I'll rule it straight to the waistline, and also I'll connect it to the mid armhole. Like this, can you see? So I'll take ½ inch dart on both sides of this line, and I'll connect it back to the nipple point line, but I'll stop 1 inch before I get to the nipple point line. ½ inch on both sides of the line. Can you see? So the next thing now is to come to the mid armhole, come down by 1 inch, and then you're going to connect it back to the nipple point. So this is my mid armhole here. I'll come down by 1 inch like this, and then I'm going to connect it back to the nipple point this way. Then I'm going to be extending this line outside the armhole by 1 inch. Just one, because I take 1 inch that, so that's why I'm extending it back with that 1 inch. So the next thing now is to finish it with the curve part of our ruler. So from this 1 inch outside the armhole, put your ruler and connect it back to the chest line this way. So because we are going to be reducing the waist length at the back by 1 inch, so you come to this side on your waistline, you are going to go up by 1 inch this way, go up by 1 inch, and then you're going to connect it back to your dart leg. Then the front pattern is ready. We can now cut it out. So when you're cutting it out, you cut it out like this. Then you cut the other side this way. This is the front. I'm going to be cutting out the back, so I'll be folding my fabric into 2 also. I'll rule my guideline. Then I'm going to measure my zip allowance. I'm using 1 inch for my zip allowance. Next thing now is to input my length measurement. So starting from the guideline, I'm going to measure down the length of my armhole, and then my waist length. My waist length in front is 17, so I'm going to minus 1 inch from that, because you know we already slant the side seam of the front with 1. So my waist length at the back, I'll measure 16 inches, then with ½ inch seam allowance. Then I will extend all my lines. So the next thing now, before I proceed, on my waistline, I'll go in by ½ inch, and then I'll blend it back this way, because you know, to prevent bulging at the back of our zipper. Is to input my measurements. Starting from this line here, I'll measure my shoulder measurement divided by 2. My shoulder is 16 divided by 2, that will be 8 inches. I'll measure 8 inches. Then I'll rule it straight down to the chest line. Then I'll measure 3 inches from this line, and then I'll drop the shoulder here by 1, then connect it back to the 3 inches points, and also add your ½ inch shoulder seam allowance. Then you can finish your armhole here. Just place your French cuff this way, touching the chest line and touching this armhole, and then you get your armhole cuff like this. Then on the chest line, you're going to input your bust circumference measurement divided by 4, starting from this line. Then with your allowance. Then I'll come to the waistline. I'm going to input my waist circumference measurement divided by 4. My waist is 32 divided by 4. That's 8. I'll put it. Then with 1 inch for my dart, and then my seam allowance. Then I'll connect the points together. I'm going to input my dart. On my waistline, I will input my nipple to nipple distance measurement divided by 2. Then I'll roll it straight to the chest line. Take ½ inch dart on both sides of the line. So my neck width is going to remain 3 inches, just like we used in front. And then my neck depth is going to be 1½ inch. Connect the points together. I'll be cutting it out now. Don't forget to notch your zip allowance. And also you notch your darts. And that's it, the back is ready. Joining the panels together now, so you place them on top of each other, right side to right side, and then you are going to stitch. The next thing now is to attach the velvet ribbon in center front. Just place it in the center front, and then you're going to stitch together at the 2 sides. Alright, so I've attached this to the center front. So the next thing now is to work on the back. Right, so what you need to do first is to sew in your darts. We already notched the position of our darts, so you sew accordingly. So I'm done putting the darts. The next thing now is to attach front and back together at the shoulder. Match them together, right side to right side, and then you're going to join the shoulders together with ½ inch allowance. I'm done joining the shoulders together. The next thing is to finish the neckline with our bias. So you sew your bias around the neckline. This is the right side of my dress. Then when I'm done stitching it around the neckline, I'm going to turn it to the wrong side and top stitch. So I'm done stitching the bias to the neckline from the good side. So I'll turn it to the wrong side and I'll top stitch. And this is how it's looking. So the next thing now is to attach the sleeve to the armhole. So what you need to do is just to locate the center of the sleeve. We already notched it, so you're going to match it with the shoulder tip, and then you're going to sew. You sew to the right and then you sew to the left. So I'm done attaching my sleeve, as you can see. So what you need to do next is to turn it to the wrong side. So the next thing you're going to do now is to close the side. So just confirm your measurement and you close accordingly.
Okay, so I've closed the side of my body.
All right, so the bottom part of the dress is divided into 3 layers. What you need to do is your total gown length, you're going to be subtracting your half length from it, that is your upper bodice. So my waist length is 17 inches. So if I subtract 17 inches minus 60, that's going to be 43 inches. So what I'll now do is that 43 inches is now the lower part of the gown. So what you need to do now is to divide that 43 inches by 3 because the layer is into 3. All right, so 43 divided by 3, that's going to be 14.3. So each of the layer is going to be 14.3 in length, but you need to add your seam allowance to it. So I'm going to be adding 1.5 inches seam allowance to that, and that's going to be 15.8. So I'm going to round that up to 16 inches. So each of the layer is going to be 16 inches in length. So the first layer is going to be 16 inches in length, the second layer is going to be 16 inches in length, and the third layer is going to be 16 inches in length. All right, so the first layer is cut like a flare. So you cut out your flare, you fold your fabric diagonally like a triangle, so you get your waist circumference, and then the length will be 16 inches. Hope it's clear.
You're going to be cutting the first layer of the down part now. So you're going to be folding your fabric in a diagonal way. Fold it like a triangle, the way I'm going to show you here, like this. So this is it. The next thing you will do now is to look for a position where you can get your waist circumference measurement divided by 2. You know, this fabric is folded into 2, as you can see. Look for a position where you can see your waist circumference measurement divided by 2 plus your zip allowance. So my waist circumference measurement is 32 divided by 2, that will be 16 inches. Then I'll be adding 1 inch for my zip allowance because I use 1 inch for the zip allowance at the upper part. So that's going to be 17 inches. So I'm going to look for a position where I can see 17 inches on my folding. So I have 17 inches here. I'll make a mark. Go back to the tip of the triangle. I will measure down to where that my mark is. So here I have 22 inches. I'll rotate the 22 inches this way. 22 inches. 22 inches, and then 22 inches. Then I'll connect the points together. Done. The next thing now is to measure the length you want for the first part, the length, and we have calculated it. I'm going to be measuring down now is 16 inches. Starting from this line, you measure the 16 inches. This is 16 inches this way. Once you note that position, you go back to the tip of the triangle again. You measure down to that your point, and then you are going to rotate whatever thing you have there all around like this. Here from the tip of my triangle to this point, I have 38 inches. 38 inches. So I'm going to rotate the 38 inches.
So this is how it's looking. So when you are done, you are going to measure the circumference of the flare at the bottom part. You measure the circumference of the flare at the bottom part. Whatever that gives you, you're going to be multiplying it by 2, so that you can use it to cut out the rectangle that is going to be the second layer.
So this is our flare. I'm going to open it this way. So this is the waist area, and this is the bottom part. So what you do, you measure, take your tape measure and measure whatever you have here at the bottom part. Whatever you have here, you're going to be multiplying that by 2. So here I have 59 inches. Let's just say 60 inches. 60 inches times 2, that's going to be 120. So you're going to cut a rectangle that measured 120 inches in width, and then the length is going to be 16 inches. All right, so you're going to be doing that.
I'll cut a rectangle that measures 120 inches in width, but the length is going to remain 16 inches. I'm done cutting the second layer. So the third layer is going to be times 2 of the second layer.
times 2 of the second layer in width. So the width of the first layer is 120 inches. So 120 inches times 2, that's going to be 240 inches. 240 inches. Then the length remain the same. The length is 16 inches. So the third layer will be 240 inches in width, and then the length will be 16 inches. Hope that is clear. But if you don't have enough fabric to work with, you can multiply it by 1.5. That's the minimum you should do. So the circumference of the flay, which is 60, you can multiply it by 1.5, and that's going to give you 90 inches. Then the width of your rectangle will be 90 inches width, then the length remains 16 inches. So the third layer will be times 2 of the first layer, and you know the second layer is 90 in width, so 90 multiplied by 2, that will be 180 inches in width, but the length remains the same, which is 16 inches. Hope that is clear. But I'm going to be multiplying mine by 2 because I have enough fabric to work with. So the total yardage I'm using for this tutorial is 5 yards. All right, so I folded them into 4/4 each. They are folded into 4/4 each, so you can see how it is. I folded the flay into 4 so that you can have a glimpse of how it is. So the second layer is times 2 the circumference of the bottom part of the flay, and then the last layer times 2 of the second layer. Oh, that is clear. I couldn't really get a perfect view that I want. Okay, so I've closed the side of my bodice. So the next thing now is to open it. You turn it to the right side. Turn it to the right side, and then you are going to be placing the first layer of the down part, that is the flay. You're going to be mashing it on the waistline, right side to right side, right side to right side, and then you're going to join together with 1/2 inch seam allowance. You join together with 1/2 inch seam allowance. So I'm done attaching the flay to the upper part, and this is how it is. So the next thing I'm going to do now is for you to take the next step, the next layer. You're going to be stitching it. First, you are going to stitch the mouth the way I've done here, layer. So first, you have to fold it this way. You first fold 1/4 inch inward, and then you are going to fold again, and then you are going to run your stitch all to the end. Then when you're done, you're going to run a gather stitch, and then you're going to pull your gather, and then you're going to pull the gather until it matches the circumference of this lower part. So I've done that. I've folded the mouth, I've run my gather stitch, I've pulled my gather. I believe we all know how to pull gather. You run a gather stitch, you turn your machine to the longest stitch, and then you're going to just run a straight line. You run it 2 times, and then you're going to now pull your gather. You see, this is the way it's going to look. You pull the gather until it was the size of the flay. Then you're going to take to the sewing machine. This is the right side of my dress. The right side is facing up. The right side of this gathered part also is facing up. So you match them together this way. Just match them the way I've shown you here. You place them on top of each other like this, and then you're going to stitch on it all to the end. So when you're done, you bring the next layer, you gather it to the circumference of this one. You do the same thing as well. So you're going to place this gathered part on top of it like this. Just overlap them on top of each other like this. Can you see? Then you top stitch. So I'm done attaching the second layer. The next one now is to attach the last layer, that is the third layer. I've also stitched the upper part, I've folded the upper part, then I've pulled my gather, I've pulled the gather to the circumference of this second layer. So I'll take the sewing machine again, I'll place it on top of it, and I'll top stitch on it. So I'm done attaching the layers. This is the bodice, this is the flare, this is the second layer, and then this is the last layer. What you are going to be doing now is for you to attach your velvet bias on the waistline. Attach your velvet bias on the waistline. You also attach it on this at the second layer and also at the last layer. So I'll go ahead, I'll do that. So I'm done attaching the velvet bias on it. I've put it on the waistline. This is the first layer here. Can you see? So the next thing now is to close the center back. So fold it into two. And then from your waistline, you measure 9 inches downward. And then from that 9 inches, you are going to close the center back all the way down using your zip allowance. I added 1 inch for my zip allowance, so I'm going to close the center back with 1 inch allowance. So I'm done closing the center back. The next thing I'm going to do now is to attach my zipper. And that's it, our gown is ready. Please kindly take a moment to subscribe to this channel if you have not subscribed, and please kindly give this video a thumbs up. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye. I love it so much. It looks so good on me, and the color suits me. I so much like it. The color suits me so much.